listening to the Scoop Slam Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Scoop Slam Podcast. We are back with some weekly reviews for the second week in a row. The road to WrestleMania is heating up as we near Royal Rumble. And before we get into anything, let me go ahead and introduce myself. I am one half of your hosting team. I am Micah. And on the other end of the line, it is the historian of the Scoop Slam Podcast. It's Ryan.
Yo, Micah, I'm happy to be here. I even shaved for the occasion. Wanted to pay tribute to the Young Bucks for saving professional wrestling. Ready to scoop it, slam it, and let's talk about this weekly stuff, man.
You sound like you're in a good mood to talk about some Dynamite.
Oh yeah, just that those Wednesday nights, man, they do something to me, you know.
Yeah, they do a lot to me, but I don't know if you want to know about all that. It might be too much information. Well, not much in the rumor mill this week. Last week, we had the whole Jinder hook debacle, but the only thing I could really scrounge up this week is it's not funny, but it is. There was a wreck in Tampa, and it's not funny, but it is. And Hulk Hogan, of all people, in NWO merch, is the one that helped this lady get out of this wreck. And you might not know the video I'm talking about, but there's this video of this guy, and he looks just like Dale Earnhardt Sr. And he's on TikTok, and it's like got the like heaven lights coming in, and the camera goes to him. He says, "Oh, buddy, that looks like you took a hard lick out there." He says, "Oh, don't look over there. You don't want to see that." He said, "Let me give you a ride to the pearly gates." And that's just what I imagine the experience would be if I crash my car and Hulk Hogan comes out in NWO merch to, looks like you got yourself to a rough one there, brother.
What a weird story that was.
Hey, he's a good Samaritan, the Hulkster.
Yeah, he did. So I'm confused. So there was a crash, and Hogan happened. Was Hogan the first responder? What? How did this work?
They just just cue up Real American.
Oh my god.
So let me get the article here so I can actually read a little bit about what happened. So it was a teenager whose car flipped on the highway. So like I said, it's not funny, but it kind of is. Yeah. So Hulk Hogan's wife posted about the crash. "Last night after we left dinner in Tampa, we saw a car flip in front of us. I truly admire my husband, Hulk Hogan, and our good buddy, Jake Rask, for springing into action, puncturing the girl's airbag, and getting her quickly out of the car. By all appearances, she was unscathed, just really rattled. What a miracle." So,
Hulk was the first responder, huh?
Yeah. So above all else, we're glad that this girl was safe, but I get so cracked up that he was there in an NWO hoodie, because, you know, the Hulkster's always ready to go, brother.
Oh, you gotta support the merch. I mean, who else is gonna sell that merch, Micah?
So I don't know. It tickled me to death when you sent me the article the other day. Because in that situation, what is your first thought? Like, I'm sure your first thought is actually getting out of the car. But secondly, I don't
know if I would trust Hogan if he's wearing the NWO merch.
Oh, well, you know, you got a good point.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if he was wearing the red and yellow, all right. But the black and white, you know, that means business, Micah.
Sorry, brother, I can't help you. Help, brother. I might have to leg drop your car.
Drop the leg.
He drags you out of the car. You lay him prone. He just bounces off the guardrail. Boom.
So Hogan's on his redemption tour, I see.
He got baptized?
Yeah. He's supposedly born again. So is everybody done being angry at Hogan, or is it still outrage online?
Oh, no. There'll always be outrage online for the Hulkster.
Yeah, I saw Sean Ross Sapp was dogging him online too. Which I mean, that's pretty bad timing considering what Hogan did this week, helping that young 17-year-old girl in that car wreck, Micah.
Well, I mean, I'm not here to be a Hogan apologist or tell anybody how to feel about him because that's not my place. But, you know,
It's popular on the internet to hate on him.
yes, that much is true. Yes, and I'm not saying what he did was right because it wasn't. So don't put don't put words in my mouth. But he is a legend of the business. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm cheering him. I don't care. If he comes out in Tampa, Micah, I'm my hands are going in the air.
You think he is?
He's a local. What else is he doing on a Saturday night?
That's true. Hogan's hangout, brother.
Okay, all right. I mean, probably pop in for a little appearance at the Rumble. Maybe a surprise entrant.
Oh God!
Would you? Hey, would you boo it? Come on.
I mean, I would pop. It would be disgusting, but I would pop.
Do you remember when Jimmy Snuka made an appearance at the Rumble in 2008 and Roddy Piper did too? They could barely walk. You tell me Hogan couldn't do something like that?
I mean, maybe, but you got to think those guys they came up with Hogan, and that was
they seemed
12,
older.
14 years ago?
Why
16 years ago.
Why did they seem older than Hogan ever was back then? Hogan seems like he's been the same age since like 93.
Him and Flair, they got in that like fountain of youth or something, or fountain of old, but they just were old forever.
Flair looks really old now, though, like ancient. Hogan still looks like he did from like 2004.
Yeah, that's true. He just gets around a little less gingerly.
What, you mean Hogan or Flair?
Well, both, but mainly Hogan.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
Well, anyways, Flair this week was on AEW Dynamite, and that was this past Wednesday. The date was January 10th. So let's go ahead and get into our weekly review portion. We got a little bit of every show, plus Battle of the Belts to talk about. So let's go ahead and get right into it. To open up Dynamite, the first thing I wanted to talk about was the Samoa Joe promo. He comes to talk about, he is the new AEW champion. They have redone the belt with side plates on the side, as well as the strap is black again. There was a picture floating around where the logo was blacked out in the background, but I'm so glad they didn't go with that option because it looked like a sticker was slapped on it. I don't know if you saw that or not.
I didn't catch that one.
Well, they went with the side plates, obviously, so they can do the same thing WWE does. Hey, here, you won the Super Bowl. Here's a belt, whatever. I'm not a big fan of it, but I think the era that AEW is currently in is being ushered in a lot by TNT, and I think they look across the street and say, this is what WWE is doing, this is what is successful, and this is what is working. But to somebody like me, there are aspects of WWE that they could take from. Storyline, more of a storyline heavy show. There's elements I can't exactly think of it right now, but the main reason right now that AEW is not as interesting to me now as it was almost 3 years ago when I started watching again was it felt different. It felt like an alternative.
Yeah.
Now Dynamite just looks the same as Raw. It's a bunch of LED screens. If you notice, they have the LED barricades now. They have one side of the ring is LED'd. It just doesn't feel alternative anymore. I mean, I like the metal guardrails and the interesting stage and the ranking system. Like, this is stuff that makes you different. That's why ECW and Nitro were so hot in the 90s. It was different. When NWO quit being hot because it wasn't different anymore, WWE was hot because it was different. And then WCW, instead of trying to do something different than WWF, leaned into being WWF Light, and look where it ended up. So,
Yeah.
I see, and same with TNA. It was hot when it was an alternative. When you lean to being what the other company is, you cannot do something as well as the original, and you look like a fake. So that's just my main thing with AEW right now. And I saw Ibu of Wrestle Purist talk about it the other day, and he typically has very good takes online, so I like to read his stuff. So shout out to Ibu, but he said the same thing when they went to Daly's place. He was hoping it looked like a retro theme to kind of breathe life into it. And instead, it's the same thing with a big LED, just set up a little different. I don't know. It's just something that's been like irking me about AEW recently. It doesn't feel different anymore.
No, you think it has anything to do with them hiring Kevin Dunn's right-hand man a couple months ago for production? You think that has anything to do with the sameness that there are that Dynamite kind of feels like a raw-ish kind of show now?
It definitely could, but I think that and again, I have no sources or anything. I feel like a lot of it is from TNT.
Yeah. TNT influence. You see, they put out a press release singing the praises of AEW Dynamite and Collision. And did you see that?
I didn't catch it.
Yeah, they just was touting the success of Dynamite, Collision, and Rampage, talking about the viewers and how many homes it's seen in. So it might be some good news when it comes to AEW sticking it out on TNT.
Well, that's a good thing. I mean, your prediction was they were going to snag or snatch, either apply, a WWE show for their TV rights deal, but it looks like Amazon might be doing that. But that's a topic for another time. We're on AEW Dynamite. So, like I said, to open up, Samoa Joe came out. A couple of points here I wanted to talk about. It was overall a good promo. Joe feels like a big deal. He's in the suit. He's got the menacing voice. He's got the body. He's got the legacy. I feel like Joe could have a good run. I just hope they don't make him a transitional champion. I don't want him to have a year, run or anything, but I don't want this to be 2 months and it's passed on.
I think that's what it is. I think that's exactly what it is. Samoa Joe doesn't he have that game that's about to come out that he voices for?
Yeah, I think it's Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
Yeah, he has that game. And what was that show he was on? Twisted Metal?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's just them capitalizing on his buzz, and they have no plans for him in the future after this, because I'm sure it's going to be a triple threat match with all the seeds they planted in this promo. It feels like they're building to a triple threat match, and it feels like they're going to take the title off Samoa Joe and maybe put it on Hangman.
Oh, God.
I think that's what we're doing. I think it is, because Hangman did get a win on this show, Micah. I know we're probably not going to talk about it, but he beat Claudio, and it feels like they're building Hangman back up for one more match with Swerve, a one-on-one match. But they're going to let Hangman hold the title, and then they're finally going to crown Swerve at a different pay-per-view. At least that's what I'm predicting. I don't think Samoa Joe is going to be a part of the long-term plan.
Maybe not. And I hate that, though, because I feel like Joe could do good with it if he had it, because he's good on the mic. He can tell a good story, but I mean, he is old, and they could put it on somebody younger, so I get your point there. I kind of feel like they might go Swerve Joe at Revolution. Swerve picks up the win, and then Swerve carries it to Wembley, and then Will Ospreay goes over.
You don't think they're gonna include Hangman in this whole thing?
They might, because he has taken a lot of losses,
and he's taken up a lot of TV time lately too. So it feels like they're building him back up. Yeah. Remember was it last week or the week before? He left the show and said he wanted to fight, and he came out the last segment and just started beating up everybody and stood tall.
Yeah, that was last week.
Yeah, it feels like they're building him back up to be a credible challenger and to possibly hold the title. And I think maybe he pinned. You think maybe he pinned Swerve, and then that'll set up the next match with him versus Swerve 1-on-1.
I could see that, and then he could also go over Joe too as like a way to kind of,
Bridge
put
the
him
gap.
over.
Yeah.
So
I feel it feels like the building of that. Could be wrong though.
I could see it. I'll follow him on it. Though I feel like Joe, Swerve, and Paige, one of these things is not like the other, and I'm not gonna tell you which one.
It still feels weird that the top faction, what's Adam Cole's faction called again? The United Kingdom? I don't know.
No, that's the country. The Undisputed Kingdom.
Okay, yeah. Does it feel like those guys are secondary on the show now, right?
Yeah, because the storyline went on for too long and had kind of a wet fart ending, and Adam Cole is also in a boot.
And now they shifted all focus of their hatred for MJF to the Bullet Club Gold guys and Billy Gunn and his boys. Which
I like the Acclaimed. Don't get me wrong, but they're kind of lower card right now.
You like babyface Acclaimed, really?
They're better as heels, sure, but I mean, I like the guys.
They feel a little too goofy for me. I think they jumped the shark. You know that R-Truth thing we were talking about last week, where there's a fine line between goofiness and actually being funny. I think the Acclaimed crossed over to goofiness, and I don't find their act amusing anymore.
It needs an edge to it, I agree, which typically happens when you're heel, but it's the same way when DX would turn babyface. It was kind of funny for the first little bit, and then it just starts to get goofy. That's why in 97 it was great, because they were heel and babyface back and forth between the US and Canada.
It feels like the only way they can pop the crowd now is just to say their catchphrases.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
So I don't know. We'll see, but I understand people love Hangman Adam Page. Don't get me wrong, but he ain't for me, and I just don't see him as a world champion. For Swerve, though, I like him, and I fully see him as a world champion. I just don't know if the time to pull the trigger is now. I'm scared they might, as you said a second ago, jump the shark with Swerve, but with you bridging the gap with Page, that might be the smartest play for them to go, as much as I cannot stand Hangman Adam Page and do not want to see him in the World Championship. Because when they came out to cut the promos, Page is nowhere near Swerve or Joe's level. And this wasn't a bad Hangman promo, but I'm sick of people acting like, I don't know, like he's their sweet little baby or whatever, like he's innocent or like... Well, I mean, I'm just calling a spade, or that he's some, like, virtuoso on the mic. He's not.
Yeah, it sounds like he's reading from a script. I don't buy anything he says. At least he's better than Hook, though. Hook came out. Hook is not convincing at all. I don't see what you see in Hook, man. He's like 5'6". He wears a hood. He doesn't look intimidating. He came out going face to face with Samoa Joe. But before that, he had the little Hook Batman symbol. Come on, man. That's lame. That's lame. It didn't look believable when he went face to face with Samoa Joe.
Well, I agree. I wrote on here, I feel like Paige doesn't have the resume right now, but as you said, they're kind of building that back. And Hook does not. I mean, I like him. Think there's something there. But right now, he is not World Championship material, and it showed when him and Joe were face-to-face. Joe, and we're recording this after Dynamite, but I haven't watched it tonight, so we'll talk about this next week. Joe should beat the piss out of him for 10 minutes, pin him, and look strong. That's all that match should be. It should be Takeshita versus Darby.
I know you hate Paige with a passion.
Yeah, hate's a strong word.
I'm just saying, Micah. You don't like the guy. But at least he looks like a grown adult man. Hook looks like a teenager. Hook looks like he's 15. He beat up, I don't know if we're going to talk about this later on in the show, but I'll bring it up here. He beat up some guy on Collision, and the guy was like a foot taller than him, and it just looked ridiculous. Come on, man. Can we have grown adult men challenge for championships on this show?
Well, that's why I like Joe. That's what I was talking about a minute ago. Like, he looks the part. Like, you could walk in the airport and be like, dang, that dude could probably whoop my tail.
Yeah, that's a tough-looking Samoan SOB. But then when you look at Hook, do you even look twice? Like, come on now.
I see your point.
I would piece up Hook. Like, in an instant. I would fold him up. So I know, why would Samoa Joe be afraid of him?
I don't think he is. I don't think that he sold it that he was afraid of him.
He shouldn't even be going more than 5 minutes with Samoa Joe. Just there's weight classes in the UFC, Micah, for a reason. You don't see Conor McGregor facing John Jones. It would look ridiculous. No matter how tough Hook is, he can't stand across from Samoa Joe and it'd be believable.
I agree. Like I said, it should be quick work. Hook can get a little bit in, but Joe should beat him.
It won't be. It'll be 15 minutes and you know it. Tony Khan wants to make Hook a thing because he got his feelings hurt with the Jinder Mahal thing. And now he is hell-bent on making Hook a credible challenger, even though after Hook loses this match, which he probably will. I haven't seen Dynamite. I highly doubt he won. But once Hook loses this match, we will not see Hook in a main event program or a mid-card program anytime soon. It's just how they book things at AEW.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you there. So, I mean,
I'm just saying.
We'll have to see how it plays out.
I was down on this show, if you can't tell, Micah.
I was till about the main event. But following this, Sammy Guevara and Ricky Starks had a match.
Oh, God.
Honestly, the match itself was boring. I really tried to like this. Well, I like Ricky.
Do you? You don't buried him a couple times on the podcast.
No, it wasn't Ricky's fault, but I just don't care about Sammy. He's flip-flop more than Big Show. And I don't know, man. There's nothing behind this. I don't care. We'll talk about their street fight later, which I did enjoy. I can't speak for you because, you know.
We'll get there.
But this match there's no heat. The crowd wasn't really behind anybody, but the main talking point is the aftermath.
No. The main talking point is Sammy beat Ricky Starks. Ricky, when's your contract up, buddy?
I'm not gonna lie.
You forgot it happened.
I didn't watch the end.
You didn't watch the end. Come on, man. You tell me to watch the match. You didn't even watch it, man.
I did. They went to picture in picture, and I was at work, and I was like,
You didn't come back with the picture in picture.
No, I did not. I came back for the aftermath.
So after the bell rung, you were there.
Oh, yeah. Just like a security guard.
I can't believe it. They let Sammy beat Ricky Starks. They don't care about Ricky Starks, do they?
No, they're doing it because you knew Ricky was going to win on Battle of the Belts, but they've got to get Jericho's guys over, brother, and the Jericho can be like, look what I did for you, Sammy. And so Sammy can turn on him again in 3 months because he's got a douchebag smile and a hot wife. Like, he's a perfect mold heel. Why are they making him a babyface?
Because Kenny Omega got diverticulitis.
Okay, they couldn't. I mean, I don't know, man. They couldn't put Well, I guess Private Party's heels. I don't know. Somebody else aside from Jericho, and they could have had Sammy and Jericho have another feud. Or, how about this? Considering Jericho's under investigation for sexual assault, how about we take him off of TV for a couple months? That's a bold thought.
Bro, you know he's not under investigation. Jericho can do whatever he wants. He's not uphold to any AEW contract stipulations, is what he was telling us on Twitter. I mean, you saw that he didn't have to abide by any NDAs.
Well, I guess that's true, but
they never signed one, so doubtful that any of the rules or any of the investigations apply to one Chris Jericho.
Well, he's still catching flack for easy for me to say. He's still catching flack for it, and that resulted in the aftermath, which is what we're fixing to talk about because so Jericho Big Bill
weird.
comes out to beat Sammy.
This was very weird.
Oh god. Big Bill beats up Sammy, and Jericho comes out here, and his music plays, and he does this god-awful code breaker, like one of the worst ever. Big Bill was not even close. And so they start going and fighting through the crowd, and it's like, okay, the music's hanging on a little long. maybe the guy forgot his button.
Okay.
And then they keep fighting through the crowd. And the music keeps going.
it looped like 3 times.
And so at this point, and I didn't think about it, but I saw it online. Were they very obviously trying to loop the music to drown out the boos that were going to happen, which kind of coincides with another sheet that we saw come out. I'm not saying it's true, but it was from Brian Last that said no signs mentioning Kylie Ray or degrading Chris Jericho or mentioning CM Punk.
I thought WWE were the bad guys for taking away signs, and AEW would never do anything like that.
Well, one of your top stars and founders of the company is taking heat for some sexual assault. I guess that calls for extreme measures, huh?
Interesting. Very interesting.
I'm not accusing anybody because I wasn't in the room, but all I'm saying is to say, well, I'm not going to address that right now is probably not the right answer, especially to keep putting the guy on TV.
It was a terrible answer. All you had to do was just say there's no validity to any of those comments, and there was never an investigation because it's all BS, all internet rumors. But instead, he said, "Oh, I can't talk about it, guys. I can't talk about it." Like all that could have got the flames could have been subsided if he would have just said all that, Mike. Like, how hard is that?
Apparently, very. Have you ever watched Parks and Rec? I know it's on Peacock.
No, I haven't.
Okay,
I'm aware of the show, but I've never sat down and watched it.
There is a clip. I was watching it last night. I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I was watching. It's on like the first or second episode. And Anne, the main character, she's the female Parks and Rec's division leader. What I can't remember her exact title, but she's doing a community meeting, and they are trashing her about this park. Well, so basically everybody's coming up and they're just dogging her or whatever. And you know how in the office they do those like split away cams?
Yeah.
She's in there and she's talking and she's like, if you just talk the whole time, they can't say anything to get a reaction out of you. And I was like, oh my God, this is Tony Khan. He just talks the whole time. And so nobody can say anything.
And them taking away the signs too, Micah, getting back to that. What did Tony Khan say on Twitter the other week? Where's the rage? Where's all the rage from the AEW fans for taking away their free speech and taking away those signs at the AEW shows? Where's the rage?
I mean, it's a good point. That goes back to what I was saying. They're supposed to be the alternative, and they're not looking like an alternative anymore.
It's just so the diehard AEW fans are so fascinating, Micah, because you cannot point out anything negative. Like you can't say anything's bad at all. Everything is great. Everything is good. Everything was hilarious. Everything was a good match. And if you actually say, well, did that particular undercard match really need to go 30 minutes? Oh, you hate wrestling. That's the point. You're a WWE shield. Like, come on, man. I just don't want to see 30-minute finisher kickout fest for every single match. And I'm a WWE shield. I don't know, man. I'm going off on a tangent here, but it's just the The AEW fans really irk me sometimes online.
No, I mean, I know exactly what you mean, and I'm sure people that listen to this podcast might think that we hate AEW, especially if they listen to the first 30 minutes of this. But I don't. I became a fan again because of AEW. But I'm going to call a spade here, and if something's bad, I'm going to call it bad. And if it's good, I'm going to call it good. And
You
that's
can't
just,
do that. You can't do that online, Micah. You know that. If you
I don't
say
know.
Orange Cassidy sucks, you better be ready to take that whipping because people are going to come for you online.
And ultimately, this is the last thing I'll say, and we'll move on. AEW fans, the diehards mainly, move goalposts more than a team that just beat Alabama. That's all I gotta say. Moving
Man.
forward, Roddy Strong versus Brian Keith was next up. I didn't tell you to watch this one, so I just kind of hit on it real quick. So it was in and out, 10 minutes. It was all right. Brian Keith is a little undersized compared to some of the indie stuff I've seen of him, but I thought that he did okay in the ring. There wasn't anything egregious or, you know, not anything like Commander where he does, oh, I'm going to stand here on the ropes while you set up for me to flip on you for 10 minutes. It wasn't like that. It was a pretty good technical wrestling match. Brian Keith had some nice stuff in his arsenal. And it didn't do too much. It didn't make Roddy look weak either. It was like 8 minutes in and out. Roddy picked up the win. I would like to see more of Brian Keith. I don't know anything about him on the mic, but he is a little undersized. Probably won't be to his detriment in AEW.
Yeah, I was going to give this match a chance, Micah, but they didn't give Brian Keith the entrance. And at that point, I knew I shouldn't. I have no reason to care about this guy. So, I mean, it was on while I was playing NCAA 14. But, yeah, I didn't pay this any mind at all. Maybe he's okay, but, yeah, they gave me no reason to care about him. I mean, at least give the guy a 30-second promo.
Yeah, I can't necessarily blame you. Like, some stuff they've been doing on AEW or WWE, like with Carmelo coming up, even though NXT is on national TV, they give you
package.
Give him a 30-second promo package. That would be nice. Just let the guy talk for 15 seconds. Hey, I'm Brian Keith. This is what I'm here to do.
And they've been doing that a lot more too. Like the Bronson Reed, he had a promo package on Raw. I know you probably skipped through it, but he still had it. And what they've been doing with the ladies, Kaden Carter, Katana Chance, they've been giving them promo packages every week. Who we had Butch and Tyler Bate had a promo package. Just give me something to care about. Why would I care about Brian Keith if they don't even care about Brian Keith?
Mm-hmm. I mean, you know how they used to have it where they had like, it was kind of in the small box, not, the main frame, and they would just talk for 15 seconds. Like, I'm here from so-and-so, and I'm willing to make my mark tonight. And Roddy Strong, you're going down. That's all you got to say. And I'm like, okay, I'm sure you're going to lose still, but there's something.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. They used to do that a lot in I want to say late 2000s. They used to do that quite a bit. I remember it mostly on SmackDown, but it still helped to add a little dimension to the guy in the ring.
Yeah. Well, following the match, Adam Cole and the Undisputed Kingdom got in the ring and basically cut the same promo as last week. I don't know if you still kind of just had this on in the background or not.
Oh, they did. I thought I turned on the wrong stream, man.
I mean, it wasn't bad. It
was there.
It was kind of the same thing as last week. And I mean, I get it. Roddy's going for the international title. Matt Taven and Mike Bennett are one of the best tag teams in the world. But the talking point out of this is Wardlow looks like he would rather be further south in Florida.
He's over it.
I mean, did you see the look on the guy's face? He had a hoodie on. He wasn't even wearing the merch. He was just kind of like, whatever.
I mean, he got roped back into being a flunky, man. I mean, I would be a little ticked off myself.
Oh, I don't blame him at all. I'm just calling a spade, and that's what I see. He's in the same spot he was 2 years ago for no reason.
Have they gave him any promo time to explain why he decided to pair with Adam Cole in the Kingdom? Or have I skipped over that? What?
All I saw was and this was before, definitely not since the Kingdom has started, but before that, it was like a MJF is the top dog and I'm the last person to beat him, so I'm coming for MJF to take everything from him again. But that was it. And MJF's not champion anymore.
But why did he wait 2 years after the fact to get revenge on MJF? MJF was on the same roster when Wardlow was there week to week.
I guess because Wardlow did beat him in Double or Nothing, or at Double or Nothing, but
yeah. So when MJF came back, why didn't you just beat him up then?
He was TNT champ and being friendly with FTR.
Okay, all right, but okay. So one more plot hole because that makes no sense. But one more I wanted to ask you about, Micah. Do you remember those segments with Adam Cole mowing the Kingdom's lawn when he needed surgery? So why did they film that if it was all a ruse? Was it just to fool MJF?
I guess I don't know. Maybe get under his skin, make him do something rash.
What?
I mean, I'm trying to make logic where there is none. So
I think the whole point of the sketch just was to pop themselves and to make the diehard AEW fans laugh because they like that type of comedy.
And to give Adam Cole a purpose to be on TV, I guess. But I mean, I hate to be this guy, but how long is it until he gets healed, and then he comes back, and then he gets hurt again?
Do you think? I know Vince has been off his rocker for a long time, but do you think he was right for wanting Adam Cole to be a manager?
I want to say no. I think there is mileage here because that's kind of what he's doing with the Undisputed Kingdom. So, like, I mean, I don't know. I think it could work, but I still feel like Cole has stuff to give in the ring. But it's starting to get to a point where he's like Danielson when he first came in, or Joe a couple years ago. It's like every time you get in the ring, you get hurt. And I'm not trying to be a jerk when I say that, but I mean, it's just the truth.
More and more time passes, I'm starting to realize Vince was right about Adam Cole. He shouldn't be taken serious as a main event top level guy like he was treated in NXT. There was no way that was going to work on the main roster. Not with him being that size and that brittle. It just wasn't going to work. And I mean, Vince was proven right. I mean, what has Adam Cole done since he left? Except get hurt. Is he any hotter than what he was when he walked into the company? No, he's cold as ever now.
I mean, I'll give him credit. He main evented their biggest show of all time. So there is something there. Okay,
yes, I give you that. But he's been rehabbing under their dime for a good part of 2 years now, Micah? I mean, he had that 9-month-long concussion issue, and then he came back and he was healthy for a little while, but then he got hurt again. How long has it been out now? 3-4 months? How long has he been hurt while he's under contract with AEW? Has he really been worth it? Like the big money contract they cut him when he got there? Is that worth it with all that time he spent on the shelf? Has he brought the company any more viewers?
I mean, these are good questions to ask.
Help me answer them, Micah. Help me up.
I mean, I don't feel like anybody turns that channel on and says, I am here to watch Adam Cole and Adam Cole exclusively. No disrespect, but it's the same thing I said about Edge.
Dang.
Well,
You've done a complete 180 on Edge since we started the podcast.
I like the guy. I respect Edge or Adam Copeland, and he was one of my favorite wrestlers growing up. Seriously. But the thing about it is, Edge's last run with WWE was not that great, especially towards the end. And he comes to AEW, and they do the feud with Christian Cage, and it kind of feels eh. And now, is it any better? Because it's still going, and there's no reason. Like, AEW feuds hang on too long, but that's besides the point. It's another tangent. Anyways, I don't feel like anybody says Adam Cole is the reason why I watch this TV show. I don't feel like Adam Cole looks like a main event star. So in that aspect, yes, I get you. Especially now, he's cold. The group is cold, and
he's hurt too. He's hurt. MJF's hurt. The whole storyline got hurt.
Yeah.
If you're Tony Khan, are you having buyer's remorse about Adam Cole?
I could see it. I mean, again, I think there's something there, but I don't know that a main event role is for Adam Cole in 2024.
Not with his type of injuries.
He's not reliable. I mean, that we cleared that. And I'm not blaming him for that, but that's just the truth.
He seems like a nice guy. I feel bad about saying that he's a jabroni, but he kind of is.
I mean, he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
He just can't stay healthy, and so you can't put him in a main event storyline right now. It's just like Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe had that TV title run for about a year, and that kind of proved that Joe could be healthy, work a good amount of matches, come in. You know, he don't need to wrestle every week, but he can come in and do a little bit. You have to prove yourself before you get put in a main event spot. Adam Cole got thrust right back into the main event spot, and he got hurt again. And is it unfortunate? Yes, but it's the truth, and I don't feel like Adam Cole is a main event guy anymore.
No. I think they should... Well, it's kind of hard to completely turn your back on Adam Cole because they invested so much in him, but I don't think they're ever going to get they're not going to be able to get the return back on the investment of Adam Cole.
Well, okay. What about this? After this whole group is over and done with, why can him and Roddy not be in the tag team division?
That wouldn't be a bad idea, but I don't think they'll ever do something like that. I wouldn't hate that. I think that's where he needs to be in a tag team. Maybe in a tag team with somebody a lot bigger, like a Wardlow or something. But I don't buy him in that spot anymore. I think they should go with a Hobbs. I think they should go with a Takeshita. I think they should go with some of these young guys that really hasn't had an opportunity in the main event or the upper mid card at all in AEW's whole existence. Like, look at Takeshita. He'll have a match with Kenny Omega on pay-per-view and beat him, and then he doesn't have another singles match for 2 months. Like, this happens way too often. The guys that they invest in, they shouldn't be investing in.
And I feel like people can definitely buy a Hobbs, a Takeshita, a Ricky Stark, somebody like that in the main event scene over Adam Cole today.
A Big Bill. I wouldn't hate that. You know, we're big Bill fans on this podcast.
We're big billers.
Big billers, yeah. We're Big Bill fan club over here.
Hey, you were repping it in South Carolina.
Yeah, you were there too.
Well, let's move on.
But we spent too long on Dynamite.
Yeah, I will say one last thing. With the whole Wardlow thing, I don't think there's much left for him in AEW. I would love to be proved wrong, but I think that's just the long and the short of it.
It's over.
Just imagine if Batista beat Triple H at WrestleMania and then was right back with him 2 years later.
Yeah, it's over.
So
I'll say one more thing about Dynamite too. I didn't like the show. Terrible show.
Could you tell?
Yeah.
Well, let's move to the main event. We got lots more wrestling to talk about. Sting and Darby Allin versus Hobbs and Takeshita.
We're not done, huh?
We got one more, brother.
Okay.
So Sting and Darby versus Hobbs and Takeshita in was it a street fight or was it Falls Count Anywhere?
This was, I think this was it was Falls Count Anywhere.
Okay. I'm supposed to be the play-by-play guy, but here we go.
No, it was just a tornado. It was billed as a tornado tag.
Okay.
That's what it was billed as.
Good enough.
Which I guess that constitutes Falls Count Anywhere. Ric Flair was there too somehow.
Okay. Oh, he's the manager's slot. He's probably never mind. I'm not gonna make that joke.
Oh, come on.
To start this one off, I did think there was something funny about JR being on commentary here because at this point, I think he's there to pop himself. And when this match started, he said, "We can't complain about the officiating because there won't be any." So
his contract's coming up. Did you hear about that?
I did, and then he said he hopes TK re-signs him.
Oh man, he's begging for a job. Come on, JR, you're better than that.
I was kind of shocked he said that.
Come on the podcast. We'll cut you in.
I'd love to have JR.
Yeah, we'll give him a cut of the revenue.
Or get his real opinions about the officiating.
Oh Lord, get him a couple drinks.
Wait, you're getting paid to do this?
Anyway, tornado tag match.
So there's just a couple other things. The swing spot where Takeshita and Hobbs had Darby up and just kind of swung him like a little kid, where he throw him on the trampoline or whatever. That was brutal. And I know when he hit that bottom rope, it probably rattled his world.
That was dangerous. That doesn't seem safe. But apparently it was, though, because it's the safest company in the world, Micah.
You didn't like it?
I thought it was unnecessary. He could have snapped his neck, man.
Well, I mean, yeah. Not to be morbid, but you do kind of remember what happened to that guy when Rey Mysterio was wrestling him in Mexico.
Perro Aguayo, yeah, that happened. It was a routine thing that Rey Mysterio always did. Something so little can kill you in a wrestling ring. And he took one of the most wicked bumps that I've ever seen. And, he just bounced right back up. He good to go.
I think they said it did I think they said it jacked him up, but, he kept fighting.
It's safe, though, Micah. You know this.
Well, all in all, unless you got anything specific you wanted to hit on, I thought it was a fun, short match. I expected pretty much what we got. I thought the Scorpion death drop off the barricade was kind of nice. And all in all, a fun main event.
It was dangerous. It looked good, but it was dangerous because Hobbs landed on his head.
Yeah. But, for the love of the business.
Okay. Yeah, it was what you would expect. Spot fest. Dangerous spots because Darby's in the match and his Sting tries to top whatever Darby does, even though he's 70 years old. And Ric Flair I'm just saying, Mike, Ric Flair throws those weak chops now. Ric Flair can't chop like he used to, huh?
Well, it's all in the biceps, and he ain't got much anymore.
Yeah. You think Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say what really got me about Flair was when he was trying to get back out of the ring. He did that like old guy pause where he's like kind of stuck because he's trying to like move, and I was like, oh man, like it made me sad.
That's depressing.
I know he can't help it, but I noticed.
He shouldn't be on TV, let's be honest.
If he was a manager, fine, but this is just kind of a weird role.
Yeah.
I know he is a manager, but Sting don't need a manager.
It's just, you want to remember Flair for, the wild, crazy promos he did in the 80s and him going 60 minutes with Steamboat and him being a ladies' man. And now when we see him on TV, he's old, man. He can't chop like he used to. He's frail. He hunches over when he stands. I don't want to see him like that.
I mean, I get you, but the main talking point coming out of this was the aftermath of the match. Tony
Ooh.
Schiavone gets in the ring to ask Sting, the coming months will be his last, and at Revolution will be his final match. And does he have an idea for an opponent? And Sting goes to grab the mics. And you want to do the honors?
Super kick party! Dun, 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 dun.
And the crowd goes mild.
Whoa. Brother, they went wild when they seen those mustaches. Did you see that?
Oh, here we go.
I'm just saying, man, they cleaned up, had a nice white suit on. One of them did. I don't know what the other one was wearing. I still can't tell them apart. One's Nick and one's Matt, but I don't know which is which.
Yeah, they come out in their rented tuxedos, and
I like how you didn't even want to explain to me who was who.
well, it's hard to explain. Like,
which
Matt,
one's the bald one?
Nick.
Oh, okay.
Matt is the shorter one with darker hair, and I personally like him more than Nick.
I don't know. They're the Young Bucks.
You know him as Generation Me.
Oh, okay. All right. I was locked in on Generation Me now.
I did like Generation Me, but
what a weird tag name.
I mean, it kind of worked for the weird TNA vibe they had going at the time. But anyways, so they come out in these, I don't even know, like a Hulk Hogan mix with Billy Graham stash.
At least they dressed up. They didn't come out with, gym clothes on like Kenny Omega does.
Yeah, but like what is that hat that Nick had on? Like he was about to go, milady.
He had a fedora on. I don't know.
It wasn't a fedora, but it might as well have been. I don't know, man. These guys are just goofy to me. And I know they like make it their gimmick, but I don't know. I don't want to see Sting's last match with these guys in it. Honestly.
So if this was Sting's choice, do you tell Sting, hey man, I know you want to be a company guy. I know you like these guys, but we can't have this as your last match.
I mean, if Sting requested, then that's what he should get. And he said that's what he requested.
Sting is not writing these checks. Sting is not booking these shows. If I'm cutting Sting a check for millions of dollars, which I'm sure Tony Khan did, I'm going to tell him who his last match is going to be with.
But I mean, it's his last match, not mine.
What if... Okay, so why couldn't we just have him face the Young Bucks on this show, the Homecoming? And the Young Bucks have they are big in the Jacksonville area. We could have had this match, Young Bucks versus Sting and Darby. And then we could have had Takeshita and Hobbs as his retirement match and had Takeshita and Hobbs retire Sting. At least have something for guys that you want to get over instead of the Young Bucks, which they've tried with the Young Bucks for years now. And the Young Bucks have negative charisma at this point. I don't know, man. The whole vibe of the arena just felt so flat when they came out.
Yeah, the Bucks they are colder right now than they've ever been. And they tried to go away, and we'll see next week or tonight, I guess, but I don't know. I would have much rather seen FTR in that spot.
Yeah.
I don't care if they're baby faces, but it makes more sense.
Yeah, I like Sting. He's a legend in the business. He was never quite a tier 1 superstar in the business because, I grew up a WWE guy. But still, though, if I'm cutting him checks, I'm telling him who his last match is with. I'm not putting that in your hands. I don't care if you're a legend in the industry. I'm booking this show, and I want to get over guys that I know is going to make me money in the future. And that's not the Young Bucks.
I mean, I definitely get that. I
too
feel
nice,
like he
Micah.
should have the.
You're too
Yeah.
nice.
That's why I can't ever be a boss of anybody.
Oh man.
I don't know. I feel bad. I feel like he should get the pick, but
I know you feel bad, but it's about making money, Micah.
I mean, that's a good point. Punk said it best.
That they can't manage a target. I agree.
No, not here to make friends. We're here to make money.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Maybe that's just a TV match, but rumor floating is that
Ain't
is
no
the.
way. You know what it's gonna be.
Oh, well, I'm trying to give myself some false hope here.
Well,
That was how Dynamite closed, and let's go ahead and move on because we spent entirely too long on Dynamite, but that's all right.
we
Friday
always do it
SmackDown.
we always do that with the first show we review.
Yeah, it's something about it. Or just typically the first segment goes like way too long. If it's rumors, anything, and then we're rushing towards the end, but it is what it is. We ain't got no time mark to hit, so we'll be here as long as we need to. But SmackDown has a time mark to hit, and they did. On Friday night, they opened the show up with a proposed tag team match. It was Grayson Waller and Austin Theory versus.
Shout out Grayson Waller, man.
Are you laughing about his interview?
Shout out Grayson Waller protecting the business.
He got some brownie points in my count, I guess, if that's how you would say that.
Man. Protect the business, man. Where's Hulk Hogan when you need him? Remember he choked out that guy?
That's what Grayson should have done.
Or was that Dr. Death that slapped that reporter that asked him, is it fake?
That's an open hand slap. Is that fake? That dude came off like a real douche, too, in that dark side of the ring.
Oh, you talking about the reporter or Dr. Was that Dr. Death or Dr. What? Who was that?
His name was
Dr. D. David Schultz.
Yeah, that's
Death.
it.
Yeah.
I knew who you were talking about, though.
Yeah.
But no, the reporter, he was like, well, if I can milk an injury and get money out of it, why would I not? So he basically like admitted that him saying that it ruptured his eardrum was fake. And
oh man, I wish he would have done worse, man.
Exactly. He was like he was legitimately trying to get at wrestling. Like he said in the dark side of the ring that he did not like wrestling. Well,
Dr. D had to show him what an open hand slap felt like.
Does that feel fake? Well, I give you $2 if you can name the people that Grayson Waller and Austin Theory were supposed to face, because I do not remember.
Who they were supposed to face?
Mm-hmm.
On this night, SmackDown?
Yeah, because they got their opponents got jumped in the entranceway, right?
I don't remember. Did that happen?
Well, there goes your $2. No, it was Grayson Waller was supposed to face somebody, but I don't remember who it was now.
Did No? Wait a minute. I don't even remember, man.
Well, anyways, Jimmy and KO. Holy, this show's going off the rails. Jimmy and Solo made quick work of whoever it was, and they then got in the ring and handed the mic to Paul Heyman, where he then tried to say that, Nick Aldis is a fraud.
Oh my God. It was Cameron Grimes versus Grayson Waller.
That was it.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, anyways, Aldis then comes out and they kind of go back and forth because Heyman doesn't want Roman to face consequences for what he did last week. But Aldis is like, no, you've ran roughshod over this TV show long enough. So here's what we're fixing to do. The Fatal 4-Way at Royal Rumble and a 6-man tag tonight between Roman, Jimmy, and Solo versus LA Knight, AJ Styles, and Randy Orton. Well, as we all know, Roman Reigns don't show up for TV, brother. And he was not there. So then Heyman's going to have to look around and recruit somebody to help them, which was kind of the thread going on throughout the night. But 2 points I had here, one of them was the Bloodline turned babyface in my eyes for getting Grayson Waller off of my screen. And it was a good hook to start the show. I liked it, and it was a little different. They ended up kind of using that entrance angle a little bit later on Randy Orton, but I thought it was a hot start to the show and kind of immediately continued what left off SmackDown. But let me give praise to Nick Aldis, who I think has played the authority figure the best in probably 10 or 15 years.
Yes, I completely agree. I was just about to mention that it felt so different to how authority figures have been treated on television in a while. He feels like somebody that is not going to take anything from Roman, which I enjoy. And I pointed out last week's podcast or the week before that I thought he was heel, but he's just a boss that wants to put on a good show, and he's gonna chastise the baby faces. He'll chastise the heels. He is completely neutral, and I like that so far. They've been doing a good job with Nick Aldis as a authority figure, and it's going to get him way more over than if he would have just showed up on SmackDown one week trying to be, just a normal guy.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it too comes down to the fact that he is tall and he is kind of built, so he actually has kind of a menacing presence, and he can stand up to these guys. But man, Adam Pearce is good, but Nick Aldis has really hit a home run, and I think Triple H has hit a home run with this hire.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Because he makes SmackDown more interesting, him alone.
Yeah, I agree. I'm locked in on Nick Aldis. I enjoy him. He might be a dark horse for our non-wrestler of the year next year.
I can see it. He's probably the front runner right now. I mean, obviously Heyman is always a candidate, but I'm really loving Aldis's work right now.
They got good chemistry together, Heyman and Nick Aldis.
And that's great for the Bloodline story, because what have we complained about majority of the time? Why is the same thing happening over and over and there's nobody to stop it?
Yeah.
Well, what do they give us? Somebody to stop it.
Yeah. And we're actually getting twists and turns to this Bloodline saga that feels like it's been in neutral for a long time.
What is the last great authority figure that you can remember? And not to knock Adam Pearce, because he is good, but I feel like at times he's just kind of been there, and some of that is the Vince era stuff. But all this is like reinvigorating my belief that authority figures are well needed on a show. It just ties all the loose ends together.
I'll say when Triple H was in the authority around 2011 to about 2014-ish, I really enjoyed Triple H during that time period.
A lot of people hated the authority, but I liked him.
I thought he was good, and I know he was kind of threw water on CM Punk's, the fire that was burning in CM Punk in 2011. He kind of neutered him by beating him on pay-per-view is what I'm trying to say, Micah. But as a kid, I thought it was pretty good stuff. And I liked it when the authority first was a thing, when they had Randy Orton as the poster child. And I don't believe Daniel Bryan would have gotten as over as he did if not for Triple H's gimmick and character work, if you will, in that initial authority run.
Definitely not. Like, you legitimately hated them.
Yeah.
Especially because they made comments like to the smart fan, especially like me and my friend Mark are going to quit watching. Like, you legitimately hated Triple H and Stephanie McMahon.
Triple H, one of the most underappreciated guys, especially to the internet fans. He was the Antichrist. But once you look at what we have now on television with any company, you start to realize, man, Triple H was really, really good when it comes to being a babyface, when it comes to being a heel. He was kind of the most complete guy, if you really think about it. Like in
Yeah.
ring, out the ring, babyface, heel. Not a lot of guys were better than Triple H, especially for how long as he was doing it.
And it's kind of funny too, because he always felt like a guy who was a guy for the next guy, if that makes any sense. He was never
Yeah.
the guy.
He worked with the guy.
Yeah, that's the term I was looking for.
Yeah, I completely agree. He's probably the best heel of the 2000s.
Oh man, I know you hated him.
Oh my God, he would kick off Raw every Monday in 2002, 2003, and I hated his guts, Mike.
Well, let's move to the next segment. They had a backstage pre-tape that we kind of talked about a little bit earlier. Tyler Bate and Butch, potentially Pete Dunne, incoming. The way you talk about it, I think you're higher on this than I am. I don't know. They grab coffee in a very fake, contrived setting. And I just don't like the 20 camera angles. It's just very Days of Our Lives.
It felt produced. It felt way too produced. But if we're treating it like a TV show, it was done well. And at least they're trying to get rid of the stupid name in a logical sense, instead of just like dropping it 1 week on commentary saying, oh, he doesn't want to be called Butch anymore. At least we're getting some kind of backstory. We're getting Tyler Bates saying, this isn't who you are. You're not what they told you to be. That's not your name. You have to figure out who you are. Let's see, I like stuff like that. At least they're covering the loopholes that they created with his name change.
Yeah, that was something I did enjoy about this, is something that Triple H is, or a theme throughout his time on top, basically, is that he's trying to reset things the way he wants them, but slowly. And I know he's technically had it for over a year now, but that's not fully him, because remember, Vince had control of the Raw after WrestleMania last year.
Yeah.
So this is his true first year of having full control. TKO basically came out and said that. So Triple H, instead of, like you said, your name's Pete Dunne now, you're going out there, you're going to be announced Pete Dunne. No, that's not the case. We're going to give it a logical reason so that the readers, listeners, watchers can follow along the story of this guy. And that is the perfect way to do it, because as you said, even if I didn't like the coffee setting, it is a TV show. And you don't just name some guy Jon Snow and then name him, I don't even know, a fake name. You don't name him Ryan McGee the next week. You know what I'm saying? That's not how that works.
Yeah, I get you.
So, anyways, I do like that, but the contrived,
the overproducing that, I can see how people wouldn't like that.
yeah, it's not for me personally.
That's a NXT thing too. They used to do that a lot in NXT.
Yeah, and they had one last week too, didn't they? That was something kind of like that. I just don't remember what it was. On SmackDown, I mean.
I remember they had one on Raw with the nightclub with Caden Carter and Katana Chance.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking of then.
Yeah, because I think I texted you as soon as it happened and said, my God, the NXT backstage segments are on Raw, man.
The Shawn influence.
They've been called up, man. Segments.
Only if we get scripts throwing dice.
Well, we need old yeah, you know what? Where's Scripps been?
I don't know. They had a couple packages for him, but I ain't seen nothing in a while.
Oh no, he's with the guys that ride bicycles to the ring out the mud. Have you seen those guys?
Oh, I've seen clips.
Yeah, they come out like Camacho and what was the other guy that was tagging with Camacho on SmackDown?
Oh man,
Hunico.
Hunico.
Unico and Camacho. They come out with the bicycles.
I don't even think that's PG.
You remember that?
Oh, I do remember it, but it was like Crime Time. It's like, I don't know. This is a good look.
They look like GTA San Andreas cosplayers.
Or the fact that they used to have Psychosis and them come out on lawnmowers. It was like, then I had no judgment of it. Now I'm like, oh,
how did that get on TV?
I have no idea.
That was in hindsight, it's pretty hilarious that they got that on TV.
Oh yeah, and whitewash Chavo Guerrero.
Apparently, if you believe Bruce Pritchard, that was all their ideas. They brought it up.
The lawnmowers?
Yes. And the whitewash, the current white stuff.
I mean, if it's their idea, it's their idea. I'm not gonna hate on it, I guess.
You gotta take what Bruce Pritchard says with a grain of salt, though. Very entertaining guy, but very famous for being a BS artist. I'm trying to PG that up, Micah.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm sure the listeners do too.
Yeah.
Following this, Austin Theory versus Carmelo Hayes. They had a short little TV match, like we said earlier. They had a 30-second, 45-second promo basically explaining Carmelo. He is small, and Theory looked like a mountain of a man next to him.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to put that out there because I know you've in the recent weeks of the podcast have kind of shifted your stock.
I've been down on him. I sold a lot of his stock,
mainly to Trick Williams, but I mean, I see your point. I think he's charismatic, but he is small. It could work. I'll still give it a shot, and I am glad to see him getting called up. I really hope Braun gets called up after WrestleMania, but we'll see about that. There was an inside-out DDT that looked really brutal because Theory didn't land on like his forearms or his head. He kind of just smashed his collarbone into like the corner of the ring. And you know what they say about the edge of the ring?
What do they say?
Hardest part.
What? Come on now. Quit lying. They said that?
They did. But I think that might be worse. Landed on your collarbone right there?
Well, we're going to see something a lot worse in this match.
Yeah, that's very true. So as Austin Theory jumped up to the top rope, Carmelo was already perched up there. He was awaiting him. Theory goes up to try to do a Spanish fly, which resulted in both guys not fully rotating. And they both kind of landed on their head. Theory got the worst of it for sure, but Melo probably got a stinger. And immediately after they called the match, which, as an old wrestling fan, you do kind of wish one of them would just throw an arm over and finish the match, but we live in a new era, and concussion protocol is a thing, so this was the right decision.
Yeah, this is what, 2 weeks in a row this happened in WWE, match stoppage. This happened with, was it Vinci? He had a match with Kofi. No, that was a tag match with was it Imperium versus the New Day?
Yeah, don't try and tell me their names.
Yeah, I blanked for a second, but yeah. They had a match and Vinci landed on was it his head? Do you remember watching that, or did we skip that week?
I mean, I saw it. I don't think that we talked about it, but
they stopped the match.
Was it like a power bomb or he came off the top rope and his head bounced off the mat?
Yeah, maybe it was like a superplex spot or something to that effect. Regardless, though, this is, I don't know, man. This is what, 2-3 weeks apart from each other. Maybe we need to slow down with this kind of high-paced, high-risk action.
Well, it wouldn't happen if they were the safest company in the world, but that's across the street, brother.
How could I forget? Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, I see your point. I agree. Probably some of the stuff, like, I mean, no disrespect, Theory's athletic, but dude, you might be a little big to be doing a Spanish fly.
Yeah, he didn't need to do that. And it wasn't like that was his finisher or anything. That was just like a transition move that he does for a near fall.
Yeah.
Like maybe
And
just leave that one, especially if you're a heel. What are you doing
yeah.
that move for?
And like LA Knight does something similar, but instead of flipping and doing a Spanish fly, it's just kind of like a belly to belly suplex.
Doesn't he leap to the top rope too?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of
Yeah.
what Theory did too.
Yeah. It looks smooth when he does it, but I don't know if that's necessary to do if you're supposedly a heel.
Yeah.
And you're a big jacked up dude like Theory going against a 5'8", 190-pound Carmelo Hayes. Like, come on, man. Put him in a gorilla press or something. How hard is it to do people not do gorilla presses anymore, Micah? What is that? What happened to gorilla presses?
Same with the back body drop. I think it's too high up and it hurts.
Oh, come on. The rings are softer than they ever been.
Or so they
Supposedly.
say.
Yeah, supposedly. I'm not a professional wrestler, but I do know that the apron is the hardest part of the ring.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Where'd you hear that from?
I've heard it through the grapevine. A couple people said something.
I'm gonna check into that.
Yeah,
But
fact check me. Fact check me.
I mean, anyways, before that, I thought it was a good match. I don't know who they were gonna have pick up the win. I'm assuming Carmelo, but I don't know.
You think so? I hope not.
Triple H likes him.
Yeah, but they had Waller at ringside.
Well, that's true.
If Theory can't beat Carmelo with Waller at ringside, then there's no hope for Austin Theory.
Well, it looks like they like this tag team they're in, and they're gonna stick with it.
Hey man, I'll be honest. So far, it's been fine. Waller did earn some brownie points with me this week by almost roughing up that guy on the show they were on.
Go watch that clip if you hadn't seen it. It flew around today on the internet, but Theory gets pissed at this Australian interviewer.
Waller does.
Waller, sorry.
Yeah, but it was just a weird ending to a match that was. They were on to something with the match. I enjoyed it for what it was until it got stopped.
Well, we come to the end. Let's recap kind of the bloodline segments. Paul has pleaded all night with Carlito, Bobby Lashley, Pretty Deadly, and no one would come to help him, obviously, because they've pretty much isolated themselves on the roster. And the final segment before they go out, Paul informs Jimmy of that, and I kind of popped because Paul was like, "But that's okay, Jimmy. I'm not worried. I know you guys will handle it." And Jimmy just let down. He said, "Oh, gee, I'm worried." And someone tries to reassure him, but I don't know. Jimmy's just like deadpan, like deer in headlights smile cracked me up with that.
Yeah, Jimmy's pretty funny. I like Jimmy.
Jay is the better one to me, but Jimmy's good too.
Yeah. They're both great. They play great characters, great gimmicks that they have. In ring, but,
well, you know, super kick party.
Okay.
Well, the main event was supposed to be Randy, LA Knight, and AJ Styles versus Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa. Well,
you weren't here for it. I'll try to walk us through it as much as I can.
Okay, go ahead.
This was a basic TV main event. Solo and Jimmy jumped Randy before the match, left him lay in. And then Randy came out towards the end of the match, got a huge, massive pop. Saved the day, RKO, see you later. And then after the match, Randy, AJ, LA Knight beat down Jimmy and Solo. They put Solo through the table with a Shield triple power bomb. Did you see that part? Yeah,
No.
Did you see that? Oh, you didn't see that at all. Yeah. I like that they let these guys stand tall because it's just been. I love the Bloodline. Probably one of my favorite factions, if not my favorite faction of all time in WWE. But they can be booked to be indestructible at times, and it just felt nice to have them look vulnerable. It gets you wondering, like, well, maybe Roman might lose the title at Royal Rumble, which he probably won't. But still, though, it sows some seeds of doubt. that they are looking vulnerable. Roman has never ever faced three dudes at once on his title reign. He did wrestle in a triple threat match at WrestleMania a couple years ago, but that was what 2-3 years ago, Micah. A lot's changed since then. So this makes him seem like a vulnerable champion going into the pay-per-view, which I do commend them for that. And the crowd was hot for this whole thing. In what was it, Lincoln, Nebraska they were in. So or they might have been Omaha. I don't remember. They were in Nebraska somewhere. But still though, it was a TV main event. Randy got a huge pop. They beat up the bloodline. And see you later. See you next week.
I agree. I think the Fatal 4-Way element plays a big part into this, and I am interested in a Roman main event for the first time in a while because he can lose it without being pinned. Again, like you said, I don't think that's going to happen, but, that's the truth. I think SmackDown, top to bottom, is the best show right now. Every week. Like, they just have all the stars, it feels like. Raw has stars. They got Punk, Cody, Drew, but that show is 3 hours long.
Yeah. Yeah, you got some good stuff on Raw, but it's not nearly as jam-packed as SmackDown is.
And like you said, the crowd is always raging. LA Knight, AJ Styles, Randy Orton. If Roman's there, it's even more over the top. That's the spot to be right now.
Yeah, SmackDown. I will give one critique of SmackDown. LA Knight has not had any promo time since he lost to Roman. It's like they took the microphone out of his hands. He hasn't had any live promos on the show for a very long time. And I think they're missing the boat with that.
That's a good point. Which next week they'll have the contract signing, so hopefully we do get to hear a little bit out of them.
Yeah, let them talk to us.
Yeah. Well, following that was the end of SmackDown, and after every Friday is a Saturday, and every Saturday is a Saturday Night Collision. So, pretty much just one thing to talk about on this show. This show...
So,
I'm not going to say that. No. It's starting to just turn into WCW Saturday Night. That's not a bad thing, because it's getting certain guys over, but there's just nothing there to make me watch it. Like... I think Paige had a squash match, Edge had a squash match, Hook had a squash match, and that's fine and dandy. I mean, those are needed, but I'm just saying, as somebody who might have something to do on a Saturday night, I think I got better things to do than sit at the house and watch Collision. Personally,
you didn't want to see the Cope open?
God, that's an awful name.
Yeah, it was bad.
Why can't they name it the Copeland Open? That sounds a little bit better.
I just don't want to see Copeland on the show.
He needs something fresh. The Christian thing it's over.
They thought putting him in the ring with Lee Moriarty and who else was that? There was that black dude that faced Samoa Joe at that paper what was it? World's End? No, that was what was that paper?
All In?
Samoa? Was that All In? No, it was
All Out.
All Out. Yeah, what was his name? I forget his name.
Oh,
remember?
I know who you're talking about. Shane Taylor Promotions or wherever they call it, but
Copeland shouldn't have been around those job guys. Let's be honest.
Well, I mean, I like Lee Moriarty, but they hadn't treated him like he's anything special, so let's call a spade a spade.
Went 10 minutes with Copeland.
Well, it's AEW match. That's the minimum you're getting there. The main event was once again FTR versus the House of Black, but this time in a 6-way tag team match. And FTR had Daniel Garcia on their side, and House of Black added Brody King. So just a couple points here. Daniel Garcia, I'm sick of saying this till I'm blue in the face, so I'm just going to make one last statement. He does not look like he belongs in here off the eye test. I do not see what everybody sees in Daniel Garcia, and henceforth, I'm not going to keep repeating myself. He's an alright wrestler. He's okay in the ring, But they've tried and tried and tried again, and he doesn't get over. He's got a stupid little dance that people think's funny. He beat Bryan Danielson, then they put him back with Jericho, and now what? He's squandering away, doing nothing. I just don't understand the love everybody has for this guy. What is special about him?
Does a little dancey dance.
Is that all people want to see? Is all people want now? A theme song and a dance?
Yes, Micah. He got no reaction, but when he put his little arms up and did that little gyration with his hips, crowd went insane. That's all you need. You know that. That's all you need in AEW. Sometimes that can work in WWE, but they're not going to put the guy in the main event storyline if he's doing that, which, I mean, that's just AEW. That's what they do, man. It's comedy hour.
It just it irks me, especially with FTR and House of Black in there, because last week they had a pretty solid main event match.
Well, they want us to laugh. That's how they want us to treat the shows, and people seem to like that. So they're gonna give people what they want.
I'm laughing, but it ain't because nothing's funny.
They're popping themselves at this point. They're not gonna pop a rating, but they're popping themselves.
Low blow.
I'm just saying.
I thought there was a nice high-low from FTR, not just, making Brody King bump for anything. And, the high-low is a real effective maneuver. Like, it's a flag in football, so, I appreciate it when they use it every now and then.
He did that little pile driver spot, too. I thought that was pretty innovative. You see that?
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, it was innovative. I'll give him that.
Yeah, except he kind of landed on his back. They didn't go down with it because Garcia dove at him. I thought that was weird, but it was cool to watch.
Yeah.
Garcia gets the hot tag of all people, then proceeds to come in and throw horrible punches to Malachi. He chops Buddy. He doesn't pander to the crowd, fire him up. You don't,
Chops Buddy. That's such a ridiculous name.
There was give him in WWE though.
Yeah, I know, but still, it's still ridiculous. Now, you had a chance to change your name, Buddy, and you didn't.
Oh, what was he supposed to keep? Murphy? I don't think either of them are good.
It was his real name.
Oh, well, now I feel like a dick. Well, anyways, I don't know. It just, he just threw fake punches. And he doesn't pander to the crowd. I'm not saying you gotta, motion behind your ear and point at the crowd over the ropes, but I mean, come on, do something.
He stinks.
He's just not charismatic. Like, he has the dance, but his promos feel fake. His wrestling it's just wrestling. I mean, he's not Bryan Danielson. Why does everybody act like he is?
They want to put those goggles on and tell you everything's great, Micah, but the fact of the matter is, if you got Daniel Garcia as one of your future stars in your company, you're going to be in trouble. Especially when you look across the street and you see what they're building in NXT with guys like Braun Breaker and you got Obafemi, you got the Creed brothers, you got all these guys on NXT that actually look like professional wrestlers, and then you got old Danny Garcia gyrating around in the ring and throwing weak punches and wrestling like everybody else on the roster. But Micah, I will say something positive about this show. I did like Daddy Magic's commentary. I did like that.
He was pretty good.
Yeah, I like him. Why couldn't you put him in this spot? He would have got over more than Daniel Garcia. Oh,
yeah. He's got the crazy eyes, and he can actually cut a pretty decent promo when he's not being too goofy.
When he's fired up, yeah, he's very passionate on the mic.
And, a lot of times I feel like people might think that I lean one way or the other, which, currently I am more invested in the WWE product. But if Daniel Garcia was in WWE, I would say the same thing. He's just bland.
There's nothing there. There's nothing there.
The guy. I don't want people to think that I hate these wrestlers as people. That's not what it is. But as a viewer of the product, nothing they have done has interested me in Daniel Garcia.
No, not at all.
But we are Oba feminists over here.
Is that what they call the fan base?
Yeah, you got Lex offenders, Oba feminists.
People call them the femboys. Have you seen that?
Oh, okay. I don't know. I can't call myself one of those, but no hate. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
But after that, they kind of started going to the end. Buddy sold the pile driver that Dax hit like $1 million. He did the Sean straight up headstand, but then he kicked out.
Oh, of course.
Why?
Because you gotta go 5 more minutes, brother.
Like, that would have been a great way to end it. I know the House of Black got the win, but like, okay, we're gonna do a pile driver, and Buddy's gonna sell it like $1 million. Hey, Malachi, come in and break this pin up. Or hey, Brody, come in and break this pin up. Because they went to the finish right after that.
But that's how modern wrestling is, Micah. That's how you can trick some fan bases into believing that you're a good wrestler if you can kick out of big moves.
That just irks me. Because it was a good pile driver. And I like the pile driver. I don't want to see it every night. But if you bust it out 2 or 3 times a month and just absolutely destroy somebody with it, and somebody sells it like Buddy did, it's great. But no, it's a transitional move.
Yeah, that's what it's all about now.
Overall, the House of Black beat them up at the end, and then they got chairs, and FTR and Daniel Garcia turned the tide because Daddy Magic kind of came in there and distracted them. Overall, a good match, good wrestling in the main event, and I thought it was good that the House of Black got a win because I said the same thing last week. I thought they should have won last week. But, again, something else I said last week. These guys should be in a tag team setting. Why is Daniel Garcia in here for no reason? The House of Black does not need to be in the trios division. Put Buddy and Brody as a team and leave Malachi as a single, or leave Brody as a single and put Malachi and Buddy as a team.
There was nothing wrong with this tag match. It was a good match. Just I'm not invested in the storyline. So I really didn't pay it much attention. It was there.
There's just no heat. There's no excitement. There was no boos or cheers after the match. Like, they got beat up and the people were just kind of like, all right, well, we know I got Battle of the Belts next.
Yeah, people just standing there. Like, no reaction.
And I think that, to me, that hurts AEW's product more than they know. Because I don't know, if I can't get into it, then who is? I mean, I'm not trying to say that like I'm the be all end all of every wrestling fan, but
you got to think though, Micah. If you're a diehard AEW fan, you're gonna attend the shows, so you're probably gonna be the most loyal of the fans. And if the most loyal of the fans that attend your shows aren't making noise, what does that say about your product?
Yeah, it's a good measuring point.
Yeah, I mean, at least SmackDown's main event had heat to it. The crowd made noise, and I was invested in the storyline. So I'm a little softer on that main event than this. This just, it just felt like a TV 6-man match that FTR had pretty much every week on Collision.
And I think that's the story of FTR. They just don't have storylines, and it's not their fault. I mean, sure, I know there's a story going here, but they just beat them up consecutive weeks, and then nothing happens.
Yep.
And there's nothing to fight over. Neither of them have titles, or they're not vouching for titles. They're just here. And I'm sure the wrestling in this main event was better than the SmackDown main event. Like, I don't doubt that. But like you said, the people care about the SmackDown main event. People are just like, okay, next.
Yeah. Let's just move on to another hour of wrestling. Let's get it over with.
Well, let's move on to hopefully not another hour of talking. Following Collision was Battle of the Belts. And
oh my God. Did you watch this? You watched this top to bottom?
No. You see Orange Cassidy on the card? Yeah, you ain't gonna see me watching.
Yeah, I did see that. I wasn't watching it, but I did see that it happened. You faced your favorite, Preston Vance, Micah.
My favorite? Where'd you get that? Who told you that?
The whole Make-A-Wish kid's favorite. Preston
Oh,
Vance.
come on.
Just saying. He always fantasy books him when he gets booking power of the show, Micah. Brody Lee Jr.
You're hating on the poor kid.
Yeah, forget him.
My God, you're going to get kicked off the air.
Well, I mean, his father was a fantastic wrestler, Micah, but his booking sucks. We can agree on that.
It was a tribute match, and while I don't necessarily think that it made a whole lot of sense.
Nope. Make-A-Wish kid. Just give him booking power to the show.
I'll let you stand on that quote.
Go over.
I mean, I don't agree with the matches being made, I guess, because it just don't make sense that Vance was a heel and now he's teaming with Edge and all them. But, like, it was a one-off, whatever. I'll leave it alone.
It brought down Copeland, and they felt like they had to capitalize on Vance after he just beat some names in that tag match. So they put him in the Battle of the Belts against Orange Cassidy.
And the other match was Julia Hart versus Anna Jay, and I also did not watch that. But I did manage to catch the tag team title match, which was a street fight between Ricky Starks and Big Bill versus Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. And Tony Schiavone opened it up with, "We got a street fight, and these guys are dressed for it." Tony Schiavone's listening to the program, brother, because they got pants on. And this means that's a street fight, brother.
You got to wear jeans in a street fight.
And they were all over the screen. A couple things. I'm not going to lie. I enjoyed this match way more than I thought I was going to.
It was entertaining. I'll give you that.
The callback to the golf cart spot, which was kind of ridiculous, but they called back to the Stadium Stampede, and it was fake. It was very fake. But I popped. I'm not gonna lie, because Ricky and Big Bill stood there for it, waiting to hit them. But
yeah, that like it could have ended badly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that actually hurt, but it was kind of like, you can't move out of the way. But
you see the lights on.
It's wrestling. What are you gonna do?
They were stunned. They couldn't move in that moment, Micah.
Another thing I thought was neat was when Big Bill tried to throw Sammy into the wall and he did that backflip into a super kick. It was pretty cool. I can't do a backflip.
That backflip though.
That's what I wrote down, but that backflip though. That's a callback.
Yeah, that was a deep cut. We're just popping ourselves.
A different time. Hey, that's what we're here to do. We're not here to make money. We're here to pop ourselves. A couple, other things. I know I've said a couple things a lot on this show. The power bomb from Big Bill off the speaker was nice. I thought that was just really, what's the word I'm looking for? Different.
Innovative?
Yeah, because it wasn't like from the stage, which, I mean, we'll get to that in a minute, but it was just a different spot to do a power bomb, and there was a lot of stuff in the way, like the barricade and everything. There was little room there to kind of get that exactly where it needed to be, and they did it pretty well. I thought it looked devastating.
Yeah, it did look nice. I'll give you that. I
liked how they legitimately went to the street, and it felt like an old Nitro. When the NWO would be attacking and they'd be outside behind the arena. I like that because, I mean, how many times have we seen a street fight? Oh, it starts in the ring or it starts in the entrance ramp. They just go around the arena. Nah, this was legitimately a street fight, and most of it was outside or in the arena itself. So that was, I said, it was entertaining.
Let me ask you, do you think they did that because they were afraid the reaction Chris Jericho was going to get?
I'm not going to lie, the idea popped in my head.
I got that idea when they just started, because I was wondering, how are they going to hide his reaction for the tag match he's going to have? Are they going to play his entrance music throughout the whole match? But there was a creative way to get Jericho off the back burner, not the back burner, off the heater, I mean, trying to form a cogent simile here, but yeah,
Easy for you to say.
yeah, easy for me to say. It was definitely something. Are they just going to keep on finding ways to not get Jericho booed?
I mean, it's looking like it. I thought that, and then I was like, well, no, because he can't. He's gonna have to come back through the arena eventually. And then I was like, well, the match is already going by that point, so they're pretty much gonna be hot for him anyways, just because they've been watching it on the screen, and then he finally comes through.
And they want to see live action because they've been watching all on the screen. They want to see guys in the actual arena. So when they show up, of course, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely get it, and it was smart. It just I liked it because it felt kind of old school, and it felt like Here Comes the Pain SmackDown.
Great. Oh, that's
the old game.
Right there. That's the GOAT game right there.
Yes, sir. You can fight anywhere in that game.
You can fight in Times Square, and the SmackDown just shut your mouth. That was always pretty cool.
Oh, I see. I didn't get to play that one, but we had Here Comes the Pain for PS2, and man, you can fight on top of the fist.
Yeah. Oh man, the old fist. Bring back the fist.
Hey, they did change the stage for Raw, so maybe small changes.
They got it in storage. Just hook it back up.
Hey, I'd pop. Well, let's move to the main attraction of this, or the ending of the match, I should say.
Very convoluted ending.
Ricky and Sammy come to the side. Oh, well, let me mention, I mentioned the powerbomb earlier off the speaker. Takeshita had a part in that. Was it a kendo stick, or did he just nail
Kendo
Jericho?
Stick. That was the kendo stick.
Okay. Well, he's got to have one. He's Japanese. Well, I mean, I'm just...
Should have had the nunchucks.
Oh, God. I do not like that. I do not like Shinsuke's new nunchuck gimmick.
Well, he looks like a master at it.
Oh, why do you say that?
Well, I mean, look at him.
Anyways, so Takeshita played a part in that. We moved to the side of the entranceway, and Sammy has Ricky down, trodden, and defeated, laying on it's a little not a pad, but kind of like a box beside the stage.
What was that there for? What does that do? There for? What is it?
Safety.
What purpose does that have in the show? What is that there for?
In case I want to put fireworks over there. Somebody falls off the stage. It's a little,
okay.
And
why did Ricky just lay there for a minute?
Well, he was teasing him.
Whoa! Excuse me. Wait, hold up.
I've been groomed my entire life.
Okay, all right. Sammy went up 30 feet, it looked like.
And Ricky was playing possum.
Oh, okay. And we're just going to forget about Hobbs and Ricky having a feud less than a year ago?
That was a long time ago.
They've made up. You've seen the error of his ways, huh?
It was more, the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Didn't Hobbs turn on Ricky? Pause. Didn't he turn his back on Ricky? Oh, that sounds even worse. He stuck the knife in his back. Micah is what I'm trying to say.
He breaks backs. Hobbs said at one point. And the shirt would have me believe that he is big, black, and jacked.
We're all
oh man, this is going off the rails.
Yeah.
Anyways, Hobbs, I guess the enemy of my enemy is my friend, so he helps Ricky as Sammy dives off so that Sammy falls, basically so they can screw Jericho and Sammy since that is their current enemies, and he's willing to bridge the gap between him and Starks. So Sammy plummets onto this, and I gotta say, it wasn't, I mean, we know it was a crash pad as wrestling fans, but it wasn't as bad as some of their crash pads have been. You remember the time Jericho fell off the blood and guts cage and it like poofed when he landed.
Oh, into the air mattress. Yeah, I remember that.
So this actually had like some hold to it. It looks solid, so I'll give them that. And I thought overall a pretty good match. Like probably one of the best Battle of the Belt matches that I've seen, which I mean, that's like being a polished turd in a field full of them, but still.
It was a chaotic match, very entertaining match. It's just a lot of plot holes in that match. With Takeshita and Hobbs, it took them 20 minutes to realize that they forgive Starks and Big Bill, and they want to help them. Why didn't they just start out while they were brawling in the street? Why didn't they just come out there and start beating up Jericho and Sammy?
Well, because maybe they felt like Ricky and them had it, and then they were like, "Oh crap, maybe they don't have it," and so then they came to help them.
It was cold outside too. I didn't want to go outside.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, it was pretty cold out there.
It was miserable. I work outside at night, so
we live in Southeast Alabama. We should never have ice on the ground, but it happened.
It should. Oh my God! It should never be below 32 here.
I like the cold, but I don't like ice. I don't like driving in icy roads, man.
I mean, yeah, I gotta admit though, I would rather be cold than it be 98 degrees.
Oh, I agree, but can we get some middle ground?
60s is cool.
Yeah, we go 55.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Put a couple layers on.
Yeah, can we get cold during Christmas instead of mid-January? Like, come on.
No, 85.
Anyway, it's the weather alert with the Scoop Slam podcast.
Oh yeah, it's always interesting around here. If it ain't tornadoes, it's freezing, and if it ain't freezing, it's sweating balls. But let's move on to some more extreme weather, which was affecting Raw this past Monday night. And they opened up the show with the roller coaster, Cody Rhodes. And he came out to do his shtick of what do you want to talk about or whatever. And he talked for a minute, kind of got the crowd going. But Drew McIntyre would interrupt, and they would go back and forth mentioning their history, mentioning that they almost were a tag team, that Drew kind of...
They were? Champs. They were tag champs, yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that. I thought he said that it was a thing that almost happened, but it was kind of in the background.
No, they were tag champs. What was their names? I forget.
The Dashing Ones.
Dashing Ones, yeah. Thank you, Micah. Thank you. Yeah,
they mentioned it, but I thought it was a thought.
No, that happened. I know it doesn't feel like it happened because that whole time period. Come on. Hey now.
I said we.
Oh, okay.
I almost sent you a TikTok the other day that said something about. I didn't know how you'd take it, but this guy was like, it was like when you tell somebody you're 25 and they were at a party or whatever, and he was like, "Oh yeah, man." He was like, "How old are you?" He said 25. He said, "Dang!" And he was just like, "You are old." He was like, "What are you doing here?"
I think I've seen that one. Yeah.
But hey, I'm not far behind you. I'm fixing to be 22.
Dang, Micah, we're gonna be in the same retirement home.
AARP's calling.
Yeah, there we go.
Anyways, let's close this one out strong. They reminisced for a little bit and talked about Cody's, trying to forge his path now. Drew is stuck talking about the past and what's wrong with him. I thought there was some good back and forth. Great callbacks with them talking about their last match. Cody, the final line was, "Just remember about our last match. I was the guy who walked out the winner." So, as you said, they're sowing seeds.
Did they have a new set on Raw?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. They had a little bit of a different, stage and surrounding thing.
Is that because of the Kevin Dunn departure, or maybe a combination of TKO? What do you think?
Could be both. I wondered too if it was the weather and maybe that was what they had or something. But
yeah, you might be right because their whole setup was very weird in the backstage area. I don't know if you caught what they were how they were filming their backstage segments, but Seth Rollins had a backstage promo where you could literally see his breath when he was talking. So I don't know what was going on there. Were they outside the arena? Was there no heat on that side of the arena? It was weird.
I don't know. Maybe it was like, maybe they had kind of the interview area in like the parking lot type, or in a backstage part where it's just open. I don't know.
Triple H
But
said they had to redo a bunch of stuff like hours before Raw just because of the bad conditions was making travel hard on a lot of the crew. So what they did have, they just had all hands on deck, and they would just makeshifting stuff throughout the night.
so then they might have just had, some of the stage, and they're like, well, let's do it like this. I liked it though. I thought it looked better than it normally does.
The stage setup, yeah, but the crowd was garbage.
Oh yeah.
Terrible crowd. My man Jinder did get no reaction.
Oh, come on. That's not because of the crowd.
Oh, come on.
To me, Drew in consecutive weeks now has been in the ring with Punk and Cody Rhodes. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's two of the top guys in the mic in the business. And he pretty much went toe to toe with him. I think it's time to give Drew his flowers. He needs something soon.
What do you think the direction of him for WrestleMania is? Do you see any feud around the corner or something that you would enjoy him doing? If you got the pencil, Micah, what's Drew McIntyre doing?
Well, you can't put him against Roman. That's just not right. It's either Rock or Cody. And if it's not Rock or Cody, then I still don't think Drew will be my first option. But for the World Heavyweight Championship, it's got to be Punk. Unless something were to happen where Priest cashes in. But I don't think that's going to happen either. So if it were me, if Cody is not in the picture for the Roman match, I say Cody versus Drew. Or... well, hold on, I'll ask one in a second. Or if Rock is not in the main event, and he's not there, and Cody is, I say Drew versus Priest for the Money in the Bank briefcase.
I like that, but they're having a match with Priest and Drew on Monday. So if they have another match at Mania, it's like, we just saw these guys wrestle. They can make it work with the added stakes that you mentioned, but I just don't see a clear challenger or a clear matchup for Drew at WrestleMania.
I don't right now, but I will say it is interesting. Maybe I'm misremembering or something, but this Royal Rumble period feels very fresh. Like, it feels like there's lots of storylines going into it.
And it's a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have that there's not enough spots and there's so many over guys. Because you got to think, Micah, they didn't even have Bobby on WrestleMania last year.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot about that.
He was getting big reactions going into that time period in January and February. They just didn't have him on the... Well, I think he was on the Battle Royal. Yeah, he was, but it was on SmackDown. I'm arguing with myself, Micah. But yeah, he was on SmackDown before WrestleMania, not on actual WrestleMania. So, Drew may not have a spot for WrestleMania, but it's not from him doing a bad job. I think he's doing a really good job at the moment.
I'm sure they can slot him in somewhere. Well, I think we'll see him on that show in some capacity, but I don't know. There's so much uncertainty right now, which, like you said, is a good problem to have for a viewer because, like, Cody could win the Rumble, Punk could win the Rumble, heck, Rock could win the Rumble. Like, I don't know. It's going to be a very fun show. I'm excited. It's next weekend.
It's stacked. If I'm booking, if I got the pencil, if Drew signs that new contract I give him, I'm putting the title on him in 2024. It's happening.
Through means of a briefcase?
Well, sign that contract, brother.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Well, after this, we cut to the backstage area with the Judgment Day, or two members of
my
the
God.
Judgment Day.
Oh my God.
R-Truth and Damian Priest were back there, and they were discussing the new merch that has come out with R-Truth's likeness on it.
I like this. I love this.
It's goofy, but it works. And typically, Truth stuff is too goofy for me to like it, but this cracked me up.
And you know what? Oh, go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to kind of explain it for a second.
You go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay, so basically, Priest walks up and he's like, "Hey, man, you're selling this merch, and we don't appreciate it, or the rest of the members don't. But Priest is okay. Priest likes him more than the most of the Judgment Day. Well, he's kind of like, man, you can't keep doing that. And Truth's all excited and everything. He pulls out this wad of cash. And he's like, can I do it now? And Priest's like, what is this? He said, that's your cut. Your likeness is on there too. And so they kind of go back and forth or whatever. And I think the funniest part of this is he's talking about how he has the merch that says Tom and Nick Mysterio. And he's like, how is Nick doing? I can't find him on Facebook. And it cracks me up because Truth is legitimately like nearing 55 or 60. And so just that interaction, I don't know, man. He's breathing life into the Judgment Day like Sami Zayn did the Bloodline. And it's working.
Priest being the straight man works too. And
he almost broke.
I don't know how he held it together. If that was live, you need to give Priest his flowers, man, because there ain't no way I would have been able to hold. I wouldn't be able to hold in a laughter. But I like the fact that money is a motivator because we don't see that enough in modern professional wrestling. Because sometimes it's oh, you're not my friend, or oh, I thought you were supposed to be my friend. No, man, just money should be a motivator in storylines as well as, other factors. These are grown adults. I mean, if this happened in everyday life, Micah, and somebody handed you a wad of cash, wouldn't that change your opinion on that person? I mean, maybe that's a good guy. Maybe that guy ain't that bad.
I can look the other way.
Yeah, that's how it should be. Make it make sense. It's not hard. It's wrestling. Make it make sense.
And hey, nothing's wrong with shooting some old TNA angles where we got a cameraman backstage and we see Paul Heyman and AJ Styles back there, and they zoom in and Paul hands AJ a wad of cash and he's like, well, I guess I can do business.
That was great, the eavesdrop angle. They need to bring that back to TNA.
I like it. Like, it is, to me, the perfect way. If you're not doing a interviewer with wrestler, or a wrestlers convening with each other, and we've brought an interviewer in here for or a cameraman in here for a purpose, do it like that. Like, that just feels more real. It's fake, but there's still some semblance that tells you, like, well, maybe they didn't know this guy was right here.
Yeah, they want to make it too produced. Like, a lot of times they'll just be facing the camera, Micah. I don't know if you ever noticed that, but they line up at weird angles. Like, if you're talking to somebody, why would you be standing like that?
The Bloodline stuff is bad about that. Like hey, there's a camera in the room, and it's been good without because you can look past it eventually. But ultimately, my favorite way stuff like that has ever been shot is an eavesdrop.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, we got two big riffs, I guess, to get to, and then our main event. But Rhea Ripley came out to basically, announce her dominance or whatever. I don't exactly know.
She addressed her division, is how they put it.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, I don't really know what the purpose of this was originally, but we know where it led.
She wanted to make sure everybody knew that mommy is always on top.
I think that's PG. Well, Rhea basically is about to wrap up her promo saying as you put it, mommy's always on top. And Becky Lynch interrupts. And they have a stare down that the people get behind. And it was a rough crowd, but they were up for this. And
did you catch that Rhea lost her train of thought? Like in the early portion of the segment? Like she was leaning on the ropes and she was trying to say something, but she really couldn't. Like it felt like she was lost for a sec. Like she was just twisting in the wind. But then she caught her footing very briefly after that. But yeah, I noticed it.
No, I didn't. I don't think I caught it. But I mean, then again, she's good enough to kind of make it work.
Yeah.
But Becky came out, and I mean, honestly, this felt like a huge face-off to me. Not just like, oh, this is a big face-off for the women. Like, no, this was a big deal to me. As the announcers put it over, I think it was Cole said that these are two of the industry's biggest, faces, and we've never seen them face off. And personally, I would prefer Bianca versus Rhea at WrestleMania, but Becky is a star, and she is kind of the old guard, I guess. She's not even really old, but she's just...
She's been around since 2015, so I don't think that's out the realm of saying that, hey, she's pretty old, man. She's been around for almost 9 years.
She's not old, but she's been around, and we know kind of about what Becky can do. And Rhea is this new crop. She's one of the best young wrestlers in the world, men or woman. And I think this is a big match to make it Mania.
Becky was around when they had the Divas title. That should tell you how long she's been on the roster.
Oh man, that feels like forever.
Yeah, Charlotte Flair held the Divas title.
Yep, I do remember that.
Yeah.
And I thought Becky admitting Rhea was better than her was interesting. Typically, that's not something you say to your opponent. It's not like you said, it's, well, we're supposed to be friends, or I want you to be better. I want you to be the best wrestler in the world. But admitting that Rhea is better than her, and that's why she needs to prove to herself that she can beat Rhea, is an interesting way to go about starting this feud.
I get it. I understand they're big stars, Micah. But this just felt too, I don't know. Becky didn't sound natural here at all. It felt like she had a prepared statement to say to Rhea. It just didn't feel off the cuff, natural. It felt a little too, I don't know, drama class. You get what I'm saying? It didn't feel, when CM Punk speaks, it actually sounds like he is talking to us. When Becky Lynch talks, it just feels like she's playing a part. I don't know. I mean, am I being too negative on the promo?
Maybe a little bit. I see your point, because I've always kind of thought that about Becky. Like, people think she's really good, and I'm not saying that she's not. I just have never seen the promo aspect of it. But I was kind of excited about this. I thought you would be kind of interested in it.
I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm not that high on Becky at the moment, or actually throughout her whole tenure with the company. I really didn't get behind the whole man stuff when she was main event of WrestleMania that year. I thought the main event should have been Kofi and Daniel Bryan, but that's a topic for another day, Michael. We're running along here, but still, I'm not that high on Becky like most people are.
Well, I wasn't watching that period, so I can't say, but I will say the people do tend to like her. I feel like she took a step back when she went to Big Time Bex and then went back to the man. It's kind of been a weird transition period for her. And some people were saying that she was Women's Wrestler of the Year, and I don't see that in how you even came to that conclusion, but I think it's a big match for Mania.
She has her fans. They're very loyal. They love Becky. They absolutely love her. And she is a big star. It's just, it just ain't for me, brother. And that's okay. That's all right.
As long as you can admit it.
Yeah.
Well, once again, I skipped a segment accidentally. So there was a Judgment Day tag team match with an interesting angle at the end, and I will let you explain this as well.
The match was just an angle, really. I mean, there's really nothing to write down about. I mean, check my notes real quick, Micah. There really wasn't much to say. I mean, R-Truth came out with the Judgment Day, but he kind of like tagged along like way in the back, so they didn't notice him when they were making their entrance, which was hilarious. But yeah, Miz and R-Truth were partners, which is a reunion from the Awesome Truth, Micah. I don't know if you remember the Awesome Truth, but
Oh, I was locked in.
okay, all right then. Well, they R-Truth, I think he tagged in towards the end when Priest told him not to tag in. And so Priest didn't want to hurt Truth, but he ended up having to choke slam Truth to win the match. So Priest choke slams Truth and pins him, and that was the end of the match. Very entertaining segment. Really wasn't much to a match. It was just an ankle, really. But yeah, they're picking up momentum for the Judgment Day, R-Truth. And the crowd was quiet throughout most of the night, but they actually did make noise for this segment.
So do you think Truth's still in? Or kind
Oh
of?
yeah, most definitely. He's not gonna remember this next week.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
fair.
I like it, man. I like Truth. What Truth is doing at 55 is pretty commendable.
He don't seem like too washed in the ring either, and I mean he's getting himself over as he typically has done with some pretty rotten creative, and I feel like this is, I mean, decent at least. He's making it work.
He might be the great. I know we throw around greatest this, greatest that a lot on this podcast, but I think he's the greatest comedy guy they've ever had.
It's between him and probably like Mick Foley, which Foley was serious when he needed to be, but
Yeah, I agree. I don't ever put Santino in that conversation.
oh
Get out of here.
God, no.
Get out of here. If people say Santino was good, I realize what type of fan you are, and I don't want to be around those type of fans.
Yeah, nah. Even as a kid, I was like, okay, Santino's corny.
Yeah, this sucks. This stinks.
Well, speaking of something stinking, we arrive at our main event for the World
Come
Heavyweight
on.
Championship.
You hater. Tony, Micah Khan over here.
Oh, come on.
Get out.
It was Seth Rollins, the champion, versus challenger Jinder Mahal, and they did everything they could to make you bite a near fall in this.
I bought it.
Oh,
I
come
bought
on.
I was locked in. I thought he
And
did.
look, overall, Jinder stinks in the ring, and Seth ain't far behind him.
Dang. Oh man. I didn't know you guys. I thought you thought Seth was pretty good in the ring.
He ain't shown me nothing in a while that's crazy. And look, man, I know Seth has his fans, but can you name one good thing about this Seth Rollins run so far?
The Seth freaking Rollins run? Not one bit.
Exactly.
He comes out in the outfits, dances around like he's on drugs. Crowd sings along to his song, and he has average to pretty decent matches.
That's exactly my point. He's no Ultimate Warrior, but the matches are just matches.
Yeah.
So what's the point? And this was no different because Jinder's not good either. Just like Shinsuke Nakamura, just like Finn Balor, they all got no bag.
You're too harsh on Jinder. I thought he did okay in there.
He just didn't deserve to be in there, and the match was...
they got history, man. He's the hottest name in the business. Did you check out that promo he had?
On.
I'm just Micah. We can call spades a spade here on Scoop Slam Podcast. Did you see that promo he had before the match?
I saw it.
You didn't like it. I thought it was really good.
I thought it was all right, but it's him.
Him is Carmelo Hayes. Jinder is the modern day Maharaja, Mike. Come on now. Watch the product.
I'm sorry.
I like that he came out with the end of sheer guys because I was wondering. I don't know if I brought it up on the podcast, but I was wondering where did those guys go? He was managing on TV not too long ago, and they just kind of
Yeah,
disappeared. But they actually did cover up the loopholes, which they've been doing a lot lately on WWE television.
I'm not gonna lie. I watched this in 2x speed because
You a hater, Micah Khan. That's what
it
his new
wasn't
name.
good. I'm not gonna believe you that this was good. Never, never.
I didn't say it was good. I just said that I bought the false finishes.
You just thought it was funny. That's exactly what this was.
So the match,
Stunk.
the crowd should have been a little more hot for this match, in my opinion. That would have helped the match big time. Can you imagine
They
if this
did
would have
get
happened?
up.
Yeah, towards the end, but can you imagine if they would have did this in a sold out, I don't know, All-State Arena in Chicago? Crowd would have been nuclear for Jinder. You and I both know that. But they went to Little Rock, Arkansas with 1,500 people in the building, and it was just sad.
You really think the you think the building would have been nuclear for Jinder
Yes.
Mahal in 2024?
Yes, I do. Because I seen it when the All-State Arena went insane when he beat Randy Orton. I seen it.
But all of their faces were like, "Oh my god!" It wasn't like a "Oh my god." It was like,
It was shock, and it was great. And they had a chance to do it one more time. Give Jinder a little 2-week run, which wouldn't have hurt anybody. Seth could have got the title back at Royal Rumble. Everything would have been back to normal. He could have still feuded with CM Punk. But no, we get more cackling, mid Seth Rollins promos and mid to decent Seth Rollins matches. When the hottest guy in the business, the guy that got the rub from The Rock, the guy that got the online sympathy from the wrestling fans because of Tony Khan's outrage, was Jinder Mahal. And they didn't capitalize on it, Micah.
I guess we'll agree to disagree on this one.
Seth got a little dinged up in the match, too. Did you notice that?
I did hear about that after the fact.
Yeah, he was selling like he normally doesn't sell. It looked like a legitimate knee injury, which he has a history of those.
Well, best wishes to Seth, but if it cut a World Heavyweight Championship reign short, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it.
Quick question before we wrap up here, Mike, because we're going long here.
We have a little bit, but that's okay.
If Seth is not available for the rest of, I don't know, till August, he can't do the match at WrestleMania, what is your course of action? Do you have a tournament? You get Gunther versus CM Punk in like the finals of the tournament or something like that? Or like a Drew? You could do a Drew CM Punk? Something like that?
I don't know.
They have a lot of top names they can put in that spot, but they don't have a lot of top names that could have a more intriguing storyline of what Seth and CM Punk could tell going into WrestleMania.
I'll tell you what, I got to pivot here, and you're going to have to follow me.
All right, I'm locked in. Let's go.
I think that if Seth was injured, then he needs to have a match or an angle on Raw.
The Maharaja takes the title off him.
No.
Write it down. Write it down.
So, Priest cashes in. That's the most immediate thing you can get the title off of him with.
I like that.
Priest cashes in, and Punk wins the Rumble.
Okay.
And let's just say, for the sake of the argument, Cody is going to face Roman, because that's what it's looking like right now. No Rock involvement. I say Sammy beats Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship, and then the main event is Sammy versus CM Punk. So you still get that kind of babyface versus babyface, or is Punk a heel? You know what we're going for, and they can have a good match and some good promos.
I like that. I really do like that. I would want Punk to be heel for the match because I don't think babyface would work in that situation. But that's a really good pivot. I mean,
Well,
they should give you the book.
hey, all I'm saying is I got a personal email, or you can send it to scoopslam@gmail.com. I'll field offers. I think the way they should do it, though, is maybe face versus face going into the match, like with the promos and stuff, and then when they get to the match, Punk is being that heel. He's doing the dirty, cheating stuff, and he comes out on top, but then it's like, well, look at you. You're everything everybody said that you were. I would be interested in that match. Not to knock Drew or Priest, but I feel like Sammy versus Punk would be more interesting than those other two.
That would probably be the best match. Well, no. I think Gunther and Punk would have a really good match, too.
Yeah. But I think Sammy could have a better program with him.
Yeah, you're right. I like it. Hopefully Seth is okay. But that alternative route that you were going down, pretty good. I think Deadlock Pro Wrestling probably needs to cut you a bigger check.
Well, we'll see what happens in the future. The road to WrestleMania is on, and Royal Rumble is next weekend. We'll be there live. I'm extremely excited. It's going to be a great time. I'm sure the pay-per-view is going to be great. I will have seen Mr. Phil in another state and at another pay-per-view, but make sure to come back with us next week. We got more weekly reviews leading up to Royal Rumble, and then we'll keep going with that. Every week, typically Wednesdays, Thursdays, we'll be back on here. Make sure to check out link in the bio that's got all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff, so you can know when we've uploaded a new episode. Questions, comments, concerns, trivia, send it to scoopslam@gmail.com. Make sure to take care of yourself. Thank you for listening, and have a good one.